Good day and welcome back in another week of Talking Technical. And it's always nice chatting to you guys. And we're starting to see quite a few of shares really struggling on the market. I'm going to cover some of them today. And at the moment I'm showing you those charts, you will immediately see that there's some shares that's really struggling. The first one that I would like to look at is uh, Purple Group, PPE. Now, if you look at this chart, I mean, they've got a good business model. Everything looks okay. They came out with a rights issue the other day to get some money. And what happens? The share just goes down and down and down. It looks like there's a little bit of a consolidation around here at the bottom. But if I look at this chart and if we zoom it out, there's a strong bullish candle. But for me, as all these shares are almost bombed out, I will use that resistance. And the reason why I'm saying that this 50-day moving average has showed us that it's a constant resistance. And every time that the share just comes close to that, the share lose momentum. So why do you waste your time? Wait for the 50-day moving average, buy above 94 cents, make use of a stop loss of 83. I'll give you even a tighter stop loss of 90 cents. But why do you want to rush in? I can maybe see if there's some volume creeping in because that can maybe give us some guideline that something is on the boil here. And let's see. Yes, there is a little bit of volume, but nothing surprising. And both of them happen below that resistance line. So I think let's play poker face and wait for that share to break above that resistance line sitting at 94 cents. But on the other hand, if we think about the S&P 500, they talk about the Magnificent Seven nowadays. The S&P 500 is not anymore the S&P 500 shares, but the Magnificent Seven, and it's a few tech shares, and the rest of the market they say are struggling. So maybe we're in the same boat here in South Africa. There's a few shares that's keeping the index afloat, and the rest is really struggling and showing us some charts that's not interesting at all. But as we always know, you will get a point where the consolidation has taken place. It breaks above the resistance line, and then things will start to look a little bit better. Let's have a look at another one that shocked the market the last week, and that's Arcelor Mittal. And I'm going to look at the daily chart here, and I mean that shock announcement that came out that they're going to have a bad quarter and that load shedding is really knocking them to pieces. This share fell from about 3.47 right down, and that was the low. Can you believe it? That low was 165. And by the way, that morning somebody asked me about it on Twitter. How low can it go? And I pasted quite a few years back. I don't even want to show you, but maybe we can see if we can find it. There's the level. There's the level. There's the level. Let's just get it, and I'll show you guys. And it almost closed this gap. There you are. There's the gap, and that gap opened between the 29th of January 2021 and the next day, the share jumped from 161, and the low of that was 165. And guess what? The share went all the way down to 165 the other day. And what is the rule? The rules say that gap will close sometime in future. But on the other hand, there's another rule that always say to you, if the share can hold above that 165, that gap will remain a bullish buy. So that's quite interesting if you think about it. But of course, if you look at this chart, there was definitely a few guys that started to buy there, and the share rallied from 165. Can you believe it? In a matter of 3 days, all the way back to 3 rand and 10 cents. That's a magnificent recovery. So for me, it's quite simple. If you look at Arcelor, usually you get this massive sell-off. The guys hope for the gap to close. The gap doesn't close. You get the bounce, and now you'll probably find that there's a little bit of a consolidation that will start to develop here, or the share will just go lower, like in shares like a Steinhoff or even Orion that I want to discuss, that they're really struggling and they take many months, sometimes years, to recover and show you a little bit of strength. But at the moment, Arcelor, excuse me, we need to see a consolidation before we can get excited about the share. And it's simple. If we draw two lines in above 3 Rand 10, the momentum can suddenly kick up to the top again. And for me, below that level, and there you are, below 2 Rand 68, we can maybe see 2 Rand 55. And can you believe maybe that to close that gap, as we said, at 161. Let's look at an old share that's really struggling. And it's almost like this share doesn't want to give us any hope. And it is back in a consolidation. It had that wonderful brief moment where it, in with one session, went from 25 to 33 in a matter of a trading day or so. I just want to have a look at the volume because that was quite simple. That on that specific time, it actually went up by steep volume and it came back all the way. So those buyers definitely that bought above this massive consolidation, and we can go back. There's the consolidation. They are happy, but not happy anymore. So if we think about it, let's just draw in this line. And if you get this line, you will say, okay, that was a brief bounce above it. We're back into this consolidation. And almost the same thing like with purple. We're sitting on the same rule here. Rather play poker face. There's your 50-day moving average. It's below the 50-day moving average. If you are interested in Orion, is above 25 cents, you get involved. Below that, you just leave it alone. You take a stop loss of 22. But there's something interesting. Copper is well around the world. It's a well-known fact that copper is going to run in a massive deficit and that production is way under what the world needs just to maintain what we've got, the infrastructure. So eventually maybe Orion will become a mine that will mine. It looks like they're still struggling with some finances, but I can tell you if they start to mine and it's profitable at all, you can maybe see a beautiful bounce out of this company because we know over years that a long consolidation, when it starts to turn around, it is very bullish. But guys, ladies, we are not there. Below 25 cents, unfortunately, the share is in negative territory and the 50-day moving average is a resistance. So the medium to the longer term investors will say, let's rather stand away from it. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. I mean, this share, or well, this instrument is back in the news because everybody is talking about the American dollar that's going to come under pressure and that things are going to turn awkward. But if I look at this chart, it looks like there's a strong resistance around this 31,469 level. If I look at the 50-day moving average, the 50-day moving average is a resistance that is sitting at 29,124. And if that turns to be a resistance, we can maybe see the instrument going back 28,318. There's a level of 27,390, 26,681, and hopefully not. It will go back to 24,776. And it's quite simple. It must, for me, on this chart, it must break above this little bit of a consolidation, and that's only positive above 30,370. Unfortunately, below that, it is negative. But I will want to close off with Brent oil. And if I look at Brent oil, there's something very interesting on this chart that makes me a little bit worried about the inflation outlook of the world. Look at Brent oil. It is now overbought. We know that, so it can easily come back. But in about 12 sessions, it went from $70 to $82. And if you look at the longer term chart, it is got a nice resistance. There's the resistance. There you are at 85. And if I draw in a little line in there, you can say to yourself that this channel can maybe break to the upside. So let's hope that it doesn't break above 85, because if it does break above 85, we can see a new bull move in Brent oil. Why? Because the 50-day moving average has already turned into a support, and that is bullish for Brent oil, but bearish for inflation. Inflation can tick a little bit higher. Thank you for watching the show. Visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we'll chat again.